Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and their relationship with Random House. And there was some new news about Random House and Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm gonna do yeah. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about it. All right. So first of all, oh yeah. Okay. So first of all, let's do the first thing first. Okay. So about 3 months ago, all the Grognard channels and and actually, okay, D&D hate is no longer contained to just Grognard channels, right? Here's a good one. Bob Worldbuilder. That guy, in my humble opinion, pure, utter, full-on D&D hater. Absolutely hates Dungeons and Dragons. He wants you to play DCC. He wants you to play anything but Dungeons and Dragons, right? He's rooting for Tales of the Valiant. Boy, talk about a dead on arrival like that. Okay, yeah, whatever. That game's gonna be stillborn if it's not already. Man. Bob Worldbuilder. The guy's not a grognard. He's like, I think he's like a 30-year-old D&D commentator with like kind of a hippie complex. And I'm not saying that it's derogatory. He just got a lot of late 60s flower child energy, in my humble opinion, which I think he's purposely, like putting forward. And the only reason I even mention that is it comes out in his coverage, right? Like he says a lot of things like by the way, if you don't know, retire the words nobody knows. Like everybody has very unique views, right? And so he'll say things like nod like people are gonna agree, and you're like, man, you coming from like a late 60s flower child perspective. I have no idea what you're talking about. But that guy has a lot of D&D hate, in my humble opinion. He's a very strong, very powerful D&D hater, right? But he's not a grognard, right? So there's a lot of so all the D&D hater channels, which I would say like half are grognards, and half are just like disgruntled OSR and disgruntled OSR and indie, because not all OSR are grognards, right? There's a lot of OSR haters who are like hate D&D but aren't grognards. So not all D&D hate comes from grognards anymore. OSR is one source, grognard is another source, and indie is another source. And they are distinct, although there is quite a bit of overlap between grognard and OSR. All right, so basically, and what I'm saying, and so last year we had, I'm not kidding, we had a crisis a month on Dungeons and Dragons, right? A D&D crisis a month. It was, there was like a dozen of them, right? And here's my take: 2 of them were real. 6 of them were manufactured, and 4 were on the line, right? And this Random House was one of these crises from last year, where every, OSR channel, every grognard channel, every indie channel out there, all who had nothing to talk about because none of their games get any attention, or does anybody care about any of them, right? Like, they all want to, they don't, none of these OSR, none of these indie, channels really talk about their own stuff, because why would you? Nobody cares, right? Like, it's at the macro level, like, it's just, that's where we're at, right? But these guys come out and they're like, oh my gosh, Dungeons and Dragons is ending their printing relationship with Random House, right? And this means that they're going to go full digital soon, right? And this is why I'm bringing this up, is there's real ramifications to this talk, right? They're spitting a lot of noise that, that Dungeons and Dragons ending their relationship with Random House. There was a ton of people who were like, this is more evidence that they're going all digital, right? And the reality is, this is a boogeyman, and this boogeyman has real costs to the Dungeons and Dragons community and to society overall, right? Saying that Dungeons and Dragons is going to go full digital and they're going to stop printing the books. One, whenever I hear it, right, I have to like do my research to see if this is real talk or if it's rumors. It's always rumors, right? But it makes me lose sleep. Like, these rumors are not for free. All this D&D hate is not for free. It takes real years off of real people's lives and gives a lot of adjective that's not needed, right? And here's what I'm saying. This Random House report last year, right? And all this OSR noise and all this grognard noise and all this indie noise, right? Roll for Combat, great example of a D&D hater channel, right? And they, all these guys spinning this noise, and just like, oh, they're, the D&D is ending its relationship with Random House, and here's the ramifications of that. This is what it means, and this is another pancake pile on a pancake on the D&D is dead pile, right? Like, and you hear people saying this, like they're like, oh yeah, D&D's dead. Oh, Taylor Swift. Does anybody listen to her songs anymore? Taylor Swift, who's heard about her in 3 years, man? She's got to be dead now, right? Like, her whole shtick is done, right? Nobody cares about Taylor Swift. Like, people are saying D&D is done. Larion is kicking off. D&D has the video game of the year, and video games are the platform, right? Like, we literally have people saying D&D is dead as multi-billion-dollar successes pile up under Hasbro D&D. It's astounding, right? Like, it's, and my point is, this stuff is manufactured, and I'm calling it out, right? Indestructo Boy spent entire year last year trying to spin up all these D&D crises, and I think, he talked about all of them, right? The 2 that were real, the 4 that were in between, and frankly, in my humble opinion, the 6 that were completely manufactured. And so I'm coming here and telling you this D&D Random House noise, get yourself over to Mastering Dungeons, and at the very end of their Mastering Dungeons, Teos Abadia and Sean Merwin, right? Just a little section in there, and they say, hey, guess what, everybody? Guess what? Dungeons & Dragons and Random House are bringing out 3 new books. 3 new books. 3 new books. Not stuff that was in the pipe. New, right? Saying that all the noise you listened to last year, completely manufactured crisis. And this is my point, right? In 2024, let's say it together. Every reported Hasbro D&D crisis is manufactured. It's not real. The evidence is propped up, right? It's not real, right? And that should be our position to begin with, right? Nestor, Nestor, the D&D artist. AI, manufactured, completely false. People had to apologize, right? Random House, breaking relationship with Dungeons & Dragons, no more printing. Completely manufactured, right? Wrong to the core, right? And why do we have this? Because it gets clicks. D&D gets hates. D&D hate gets clicks. But what I'm telling you is it's based on lies. It's based on lies. So know that the next time you want to, roll up with some kind of Hasbro D&D crisis, 9 chances out of 10, it's lies. And it will be shown for lies 3 months later. Thank goodness D&D has enough legacy and momentum and awesome to push off the haters until the lies can be shown for what they are, right? So my point is, this Random House story, this is within 1 season, within 3 months, the second completely 100% manufactured crisis. Not real, does not count. All the hate clicks are based on lies. Okay? That's where I'm getting. That's where I'm landing, right? So one, we're in 2024. You hear some nonsense story that that D&D has another crisis. It's not real. It's not real. It's based on lies. It's based on a momentum of hatred from the OSR, from the grognards, and from the indies, who hate that this game that they insist does not have good art, does not have good writing, does not have good layout, right? Does not have good publishing distribution, completely outsells and outperforms their favorite product every day of the week, 24/7, right? 365, period. And okay, all right. So one, got that set. All right, I want to put some icing on this cake. Here we go. Lorraine Williams. She was Queen of Dungeons & Dragons from 1986 to 1997. She was handpicked to pick up the absolute catastrophic mess of creativity and commerciality that Gary Gygax left. Gary Gygax crushed it from 1974 to 1983. In 1983, we all know this now, he went to Hollywood and he got a real bad habit. Okay? And at that point, he lost control of himself, and 3 years later, he lost control of Dungeons & Dragons because he couldn't be the creative lead and he couldn't be the commercial lead. We know this now. Go check out Dave Thaumavor's video, right? It says it right in there, right? All right. So Lorraine Williams comes in from 1986 to 1997. This is not a joke. There are literally 10 different academic historical books that are written, every single one by a middle-aged white guy who absolutely despises the fact that there was a woman who led Dungeons & Dragons for 11 years. And all of them say the same thing. They're saying, Lorraine Williams was a terrible business person. We now know that is full crockery. Again, just lies, right? Because here we are. If you read any of the historical books that talk about Lorraine Williams, they will talk about Random House, right? And they'll say, and we just learned this, right? Essentially, in my humble opinion, if you read the collective knowledge of these books, one of the things they say that I think is true, there's some truth in those books, there's a lot of lies, but there's some truth, right? Is that Lorraine Williams used Random House as a cash bank for 11 years. I totally agree with you. The way she did it, right, was the breakdown is Random House is like, hey, you order from the printers. We'll give you cash for everything you order from the printers, right? On day one, when you order it, you don't have to even take stock, right? We'll give you cash day one of everything you order, right? That deal was set in place in 1979. In 1986, Lorraine Williams read every single document, right, and figured this out. And then she leveraged Random House, in my humble opinion, as a cash bank for 11 years. And when she was done, in 1997, when it was sold to Peter Atkinson, Dungeons & Dragons owed Random House, some reports are as high as $30 million, right? Now, the problem is, all these middle-aged white men will tell you, oh, she was a terrible business person, right? This is bog standard in biotech startups now, right? You burn capital for 10, 15, 20 years, and then you make billions, right? And that's exactly what Lorraine did, right? She burned capital, right, on companies that could afford to burn the capital because they were getting something on their end. And so here we are now with reports from last year that Random House was ending their... Now, if Random House was upset with a $30 million debt, right, why didn't they end their relationship with Dungeons & Dragons? Why didn't they end it in 1987, 1988, 1989, 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993, 1994, 1995, 1996, or 1997? And why didn't they end it in 2022 or 2023? And the reason why is Dungeons & Dragons gives them what they need. With Dungeons & Dragons, they publish novels, they publish cookbooks, they publish books about like history, art, right? Dungeons & Dragons creates content like apples, bananas, at an apples, bananas rate. Dungeons & Dragons creates unique, fresh, printable content at an apples, bananas rate. And Random House, who's the biggest publisher in the world, don't care about $30 million. They care about a 5-decade partnership that has massively served them, right? And this is my point. We need to get the history right, right? People are saying that Lorraine Williams did Random House wrong. Seal your flapping maw. Lorraine Williams supplied value to Random House. And that's why Random House very carefully maintained relationships with somebody who leveraged them for $30 million, because the value Lorraine Williams was supplying them was higher than the money that was owed. And that's why, even after there was reports that in 2023 that there'd be no more Random House relationship, Random House ain't going nowhere. They don't get that fresh, good content anywhere else. It's the best in the business, right? Dungeons and Dragons is an amazing content creator. Random House is the biggest publisher in the world, and they need that good now, right? And they ain't gonna get it from OSE. They're not gonna get it from Shadowdark. They're not getting it from Shadowrun. They're not gonna get it from Modifius. Just lost the Conan license, right? They're not gonna get it from anybody. But Dungeons and Dragons delivers, while the rest of the entire industry does nothing. That's the truth about the relationship, in my humble opinion, about the relationship between Dungeons and Dragons and Random House. And you ain't gonna hear it anywhere but here. Next time you hear even a squawk of a D&D crisis, let's all say it together. Ain't nothing but lies. Thank you. Next.